Sarah Platt was left devastated in Coronation Street after discovering she would officially face a murder charge over the death of Theo Silverton. The underworld factory supervisor, a familiar face on the long-running ITV soap since 1999, was dramatically exposed earlier this year as the person responsible for Theo's death after striking the violent scaffolder with a metal pipe. The fatal confrontation followed months of Theo emotionally tormenting Todd Grimshaw throughout their relationship, with the deadly incident unfolding on the roof of the builder's yard after Theo taunted Sarah with a series of cruel and hurtful remarks. Terrified that reporting the truth could destroy Kit Green's police career, Sarah turned to former partner Gary Windus for help instead. And for months the pair were the only people who knew exactly what had happened. Unable to cope with the guilt any longer, Sarah eventually admitted everything to Kit, who has since desperately searched for a way to protect her from prosecution. While leading the investigation, DS Lisa Swain initially focused on the wrong suspects and even had innocent Summer Spellman arrested, but after finally uncovering the truth, she ordered Sarah's arrest earlier this week. Lisa became suspicious after learning Kit had attempted to obtain Sarah's clothing, which had been seized as evidence because traces of Theo's blood were discovered on them. Confronting her colleague, Lisa warned him that the Crown Prosecution Service had authorized a murder charge against Sarah and demanded he choose between shielding her or protecting his own future in the police force. Later in the episode, Kit was forced to deliver the heartbreaking news to Sarah and carefully explained what would happen as the legal process moved forward. He admitted that the evidence currently pointed directly at her and explained that Lisa was determined to see the case through. Overwhelmed by fear, Sarah broke down in tears and insisted she could not believe her life had reached this point. Kit warned that she would most likely be remanded into custody after her first court appearance and urged her to tell investigators that Gary had pressured her into helping with the cover-up, believing it could allow her to remain in her young son Harry's life. When Tina O'Brien first joined Coronation Street, Sarah became the center of one of the soap's most talked-about teenage pregnancy storylines. Over the years, the character has survived kidnappings, family tragedies, and a terrifying attempt on her life when her serial killer stepfather tried to drown the entire family by driving their car into a canal. Since returning to Weatherfield in 2015, Sarah has experienced failed marriages and previously escaped punishment after becoming involved in the cover-up surrounding the death of her former boyfriend, drug dealer Callum Logan. Given Sarah's long and dramatic history on the program, many viewers struggle to believe that a murder conviction could really mark the end of her story. Fans are convinced another major twist is still on the way that will somehow keep Sarah living on the famous cobbles. Reacting online, one viewer argued that if Kit stopped trying to pin the crime on Gary without solid evidence and stopped interfering with evidence linked to Sarah, people would no longer believe he was protecting her. Another fan criticized the storyline by questioning how many killings Sarah could be connected to and complained that soap operas often ignore moral consequences. A third viewer wondered how Sarah could possibly remain in the series, suggesting there must be another shocking twist ahead because Tina O'Brien has already renewed her contract, making an exit seem highly unlikely. Coronation Street, Ryan gives Dylan unexpected advice after Betsy's stroke. Ryan Connor surprised Dylan Wilson with some thoughtful advice after the shocking events surrounding Betsy's life-changing stroke in the latest episode of Coronation Street. Over the past few days, Dylan had been unable to bring himself to visit Weatherfield General Hospital, overwhelmed by guilt and struggling to accept the devastating consequences of Betsy's medical crisis and his part in what happened. Earlier, Dylan had angrily confronted his friend Brody, accusing Betsy of betraying him by getting involved with a local troublemaker. The accusation quickly escalated into a heated argument, with Brody furiously denying the claims and insisting he would have taken legal action if he had been in Betsy's position. A desperate message from Betsy eventually convinced Dylan to visit her in hospital, where he was forced to face the painful reality of the situation. During their emotional conversation, Betsy challenged Dylan over the false accusations he had made against her. Dylan admitted that his father, Sean Tully, had convinced him she had been unfaithful, although he confessed he was still trying to understand everything that had unfolded. He also revealed his growing fear that he could be arrested after Lisa Swain reported the incident to the police, especially considering his previous legal troubles. The difficult meeting left Dylan emotionally exhausted, but as he walked out of Betsy's hospital room, he was unexpectedly approached by Ryan Connor. Although Ryan is closely connected to Betsy's family, he chose to show compassion instead of judgment, saying he believed Dylan had never intended to seriously hurt her. Ryan then opened up about his own past experiences, explaining that he had previously taken part in consensual strangulation during intimate relationships. He calmly explained that he wasn't trying to criticize Dylan because both people had willingly taken part, describing it as something some couples see as a sexual preference. Ryan admitted he had never realized how dangerous the practice could be until hearing about Betsy's injuries. He explained that the damage to Betsy's artery had developed gradually before eventually causing the stroke that changed everything. Ryan reassured Dylan that, despite the heartbreaking outcome, he believed the incident had never been intended to cause such devastating harm. His words offered Dylan a rare moment of comfort at a time when many people in Weatherfield had begun turning against him. Ryan is not the only resident who has spoken openly about the issue. Earlier in the storyline, Summer Spellman revealed she had personal experience with consensual strangulation, but said she would never take part in it again after understanding the risks involved. Later, Dylan shared an emotional conversation with Sean inside the Rover's return. He admitted he was terrified he could end up behind bars because of what had happened to Betsy. Although Dylan insisted the stroke had been a tragic accident and that he never meant to hurt Betsy, he confessed he wasn't sure he could live with the consequences if he was prosecuted. While Ryan has shown understanding and sympathy, Lisa Swain remains determined to hold Dylan responsible for Betsy's injuries. The detective continues encouraging Betsy to make an official statement to police and pursue criminal charges, believing Dylan must face the legal consequences of his actions. Lauren has also supported Lisa's position, urging Betsy to stay away from Dylan for her own safety. Now that Dylan realizes his future may depend on the outcome of the investigation, the fallout from Betsy's stroke could completely change his life. Whether Dylan ultimately avoids prison or is convicted remains one of the biggest unanswered questions in the storyline. Coronation Street continues to air on ITV1 during weekday evenings, with episodes also available to stream on ITVX.